The soft glow of the recording studio lights at Graceland cast gentle shadows across the walls on the evening of February 1st, 1977, as Elvis Presley sat at the piano in his private music room, absently playing the opening chords of Love Me Tender, while 9-year-old Lisa Marie curled up in the leather chair beside him, watching her father's fingers dance across the keys with the fascination that only a child observing their parents' greatest talent could possess. It had been a quiet evening at home, one of the increasingly rare moments when Elvis wasn't touring, recording, or dealing with the countless demands of his career, and he had been savoring this precious time alone with his daughter, away from managers, assistants, and the constant pressure that defined his public life. Lisa Marie had been humming along unconsciously to her father's playing, her sweet, clear voice weaving in and out of the familiar melody with an instinctive musicality that made Elvis pause mid-song and turn to look at her with surprise and growing amazement. In 9 years of being her father, he had heard her sing along to the radio, join in during family sing-alongs, and even perform little made-up songs during her playtime. But something about this moment was different. The way her voice naturally found harmonies, the unconscious confidence in her tone, and the pure, untrained beauty of her sound that reminded him so powerfully of his own mother Gladys that it took his breath away. Lisa Marie, Elvis said softly, his voice filled with a mixture of wonder and emotion. Do you realize how beautiful you sound? Have you been practicing singing, baby girl? Lisa Marie looked up at her father with wide eyes, suddenly self-conscious about the attention. But there was something in his expression, a combination of fatherly pride and genuine musical appreciation, that made her feel brave enough to admit that she had been secretly practicing songs in her room, using a hairbrush as a microphone, and imagining herself performing the way she had watched him do countless times from the side of various stages around the world. If this touching story, about a father sharing his musical gift with his daughter, is capturing your heart, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us continue sharing these incredible true stories about the most meaningful moments in music history. Thank you for being part of our community. What happened next would become one of the most treasured and historically significant moments in the Presley family legacy, though neither father nor daughter realized it at the time. Elvis, moved by the natural beauty of his daughter's voice and suddenly struck by the realization that she had inherited not just his looks, but also his musical gifts, made a spontaneous decision that would create a memory to last a lifetime. Baby, Elvis said, patting the piano bench beside him. Come sit here with Daddy. I want to try something with you. Lisa Marie climbed up onto the bench, her small frame dwarfed by both the piano and her father's presence, but feeling completely safe and loved in this private moment that belonged only to them. Do you know all the words to Love Me Tender? Elvis asked, and when Lisa Marie nodded enthusiastically, he began playing the opening chords again, this time with the deliberate intention of creating a duet. Let's sing it together, Elvis said, his voice gentle and encouraging. You just follow my lead, and don't worry about being perfect. Music is about feeling, not perfection. As Elvis began to sing the first verse in his distinctive, warm baritone, Lisa Marie joined in tentatively at first, her 9-year-old voice sweet and pure, finding its way carefully around the melody she had heard hundreds of times, but was now experiencing in an entirely new way. What emerged from that moment was pure magic. Lisa Marie's voice, though young and still developing, possessed an innate musicality and emotional depth that perfectly complemented her father's more mature and polished sound. Where Elvis's voice carried the weight of years of experience and emotional complexity, Lisa Marie's brought innocence, joy, and a freshness that reminded everyone who would later hear the recording of why music was so powerful in its purest form. As they sang together, Elvis found himself modifying his usual performance style to accommodate and showcase his daughter's voice, creating harmonies and musical spaces that allowed her natural talent to shine. Lisa Marie, feeding off her father's encouragement and obvious delight, grew more confident with each line, her voice becoming stronger and more expressive as the song progressed. Unknown to both of them, the recording equipment in Elvis's home studio had been left running from an earlier session, and their impromptu duet was being captured for posterity. The technician who discovered the recording the next day would later say that he knew immediately he had stumbled upon something extraordinary. Not just because it featured Elvis Presley, but because it captured a moment of such pure familial love and musical joy that it transcended typical celebrity family moments. After they finished Love Me Tender, Elvis was quiet for a moment, clearly moved by the experience and by the realization of just how talented his daughter was. "Lisa, Marie," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You have a gift, baby girl. A real gift. Your voice is beautiful, and the way you feel the music, that's something you can't teach. That comes from inside." But Lisa Marie, in the way that children often surprise adults with their profound insights, looked up at her father and said something that would stay with Elvis for the rest of his life. "Daddy, when we sing together, it feels like we're the same person. Like your voice and my voice are supposed to be together." Elvis was so moved by his daughter's words that he had to wipe away tears before he could respond. In that moment, he understood that music wasn't just his career or his talent. It was his legacy, something he could pass on to his daughter not just as a skill or a profession, but as a way of connecting with others and expressing the deepest parts of themselves. "Would you like to try another song?" Elvis asked. And when Lisa Marie nodded eagerly, they spent the next hour singing together. Everything from traditional gospel songs that Elvis remembered from his childhood to contemporary ballads that Lisa Marie had heard on the radio. With each song, their voices blended more naturally and their musical connection deepened. During their impromptu session, Elvis found himself teaching Lisa Marie not just about singing technique, but about the emotional and spiritual aspects of music that had always been central to his own artistic philosophy. He showed her how to breathe properly to support her voice, how to use dynamics to create emotional impact, and most importantly, how to sing from her heart rather than just her throat. "The most important thing about singing," Elvis told her, "isn't having a perfect voice. It's being honest. When you sing, you're sharing a piece of your soul with other people, and they can tell if you're being real or if you're just going through the motions. Your voice is beautiful, but what makes it special is that when you sing, I can hear your heart." Lisa Marie absorbed these lessons with the seriousness that children bring to learning something important from a parent they adore. She asked questions about breathing, about how to make her voice stronger, and about how her father had learned to sing so beautifully. Elvis answered each question with patience and detail, clearly relishing the opportunity to share his knowledge and passion with his daughter. As the evening progressed, their singing session evolved into something even more meaningful. Elvis began telling Lisa Marie stories about his own childhood and his early experiences with music, sharing memories of singing in church with his mother, his first guitar, and the day he walked into Sun Records to make his first recording. Lisa Marie listened with rapt attention, beginning to understand that her father's music wasn't just entertainment. It was the story of his life and his way of connecting with the world. "Music saved me," Elvis told his daughter as they took a break between songs. "When I was young and didn't have much confidence, music was the thing that made me feel like I had value. It gave me a way to express feelings I couldn't put into words, and it connected me to other people in a way that talking never could. If you decide you want to pursue music, Lisa Marie, it won't always be easy, but it will always be honest. Music doesn't lie." Oh, the recording of that evening, when it was later discovered and carefully preserved, captured not just two voices singing together, but a father passing on his most precious gift to his daughter, and a daughter discovering a talent and passion that would shape the rest of her life. Music historians would later note that you could hear the exact moment when Lisa Marie's voice found its confidence, transforming from tentative mimicry to genuine musical expression. Word of the recording began to spread quietly through Elvis's inner circle over the following days. Musicians who had worked with Elvis for years listened to the tape with amazement, noting not just Lisa Marie's natural talent, but the way Elvis's own voice seemed to be transformed by singing with his daughter, becoming more tender, more vulnerable, and somehow more purely musical than it had been in years. Colonel Parker, Elvis's manager, initially saw the recording as a potential commercial opportunity, suggesting that it could be released as a special single or included on an album. But Elvis firmly rejected any suggestion of commercializing this private moment with his daughter. "This isn't about business," he told Parker. "This is about family. This is about something pure and beautiful, and I won't let the music industry turn it into a product." However, Elvis did decide to share the recording in a more personal way. He had copies made for close family members and friends, and he played it during intimate gatherings at Graceland, always with obvious pride and emotion. Guests often remarked that they had never seen Elvis happier than when he was talking about Lisa Marie's musical talent and their special evening together. The impact of that first duet extended far beyond the immediate family circle. Lisa Marie, encouraged by her father's support and her own growing confidence, began participating more actively in musical activities at school and in her community. She joined the children's choir at church, participated in school musical programs, and began writing her own songs, often performing them for her father during their private time together. Elvis, for his part, found that singing with Lisa Marie had rekindled his own passion for music in ways he hadn't expected. The pure joy and innocence she brought to their duets reminded him of why he had fallen in love with music in the first place, before the complexities of fame and commercial pressure had complicated his relationship with his art. During the months following their first duet, Elvis and Lisa Marie established a regular routine of evening music sessions. Sometimes they would work on songs together, sometimes Elvis would teach her new techniques, and sometimes they would simply explore different types of music, from classical to country to rock and roll. These sessions became some of the most treasured times in both of their lives. Friends and family members who witnessed these musical interactions often commented on how they seemed to transform both father and daughter. Elvis, who could be moody and restless in other contexts, became patient, gentle, and completely focused when working with Lisa Marie. And Lisa Marie, who was sometimes shy and uncertain in group settings, became confident and expressive when singing with her father. The historical significance of their first duet became even more apparent in the months that followed, as it became clear that it marked the beginning of Lisa Marie's own serious engagement with music as both an art form and a potential career path. Music teachers who worked with her noted that she possessed not just natural talent, but a deep understanding of musical emotion and expression that was rare in someone so young. More importantly, the recording captured a moment of pure familial love and artistic connection that transcended celebrity and fame. It documented the passing of musical legacy from one generation to the next. But more than that, it preserved a moment when a father and daughter shared something precious and transformative. When Elvis passed away in August 1977, just 6 months after their first recorded duet, the recording took on even greater significance for Lisa Marie and the family. It became a treasured reminder of Elvis's love for his daughter and his pride in her talents, but also a testament to the power of music to create lasting bonds between people. Lisa Marie often spoke in later interviews about how that evening had changed her relationship, not just with music, but with her father. Before that night, she said, I knew my dad was famous and talented, but I thought of his music as something separate from our family life. After we sang together, I understood that music wasn't just what he did, it was who he was, and it was something we could share. The recording was eventually included in a special family collection of unreleased Elvis material, but it was always presented with the context and respect that Elvis had wanted. Music critics who heard it noted that it captured Elvis at his most authentic and emotionally open, singing not for an audience or for commercial purposes, but purely for the joy of sharing music with someone he loved. The influence of that first duet on Lisa Marie's life and career cannot be overstated. It gave her not just confidence in her own musical abilities, but a deep understanding of music as a form of emotional expression and human connection. When she eventually pursued her own recording career, she often cited that evening with her father as the moment she knew music would be central to her life. Music educators and family therapists have studied the recording as an example of how parents can nurture and support their children's talents while maintaining the emotional bond that makes family relationships special. The way Elvis balanced encouragement with realistic feedback, technique with emotional expression, and pride with humility became a model for how successful people could share their gifts with the next generation. The Graceland archives, where the original recording is carefully preserved, note that it represents one of the most historically significant pieces of unreleased Elvis material, not because of its commercial potential, but because of what it reveals about Elvis as a father, and about the family dynamics that shaped one of America's most famous musical legacies. Today, the story of Lisa Marie's first duet with Elvis serves as a reminder that the most important moments in life are often the quietest ones. The private interactions between family members that create lasting bonds and shape future generations. It demonstrates that talent and fame are meaningless without love and connection, and that the greatest gift parents can give their children is not success, but the confidence and support to discover their own gifts. The recording remains a treasured part of the Presley family. Legacy, a testament to the power of music to create connection across generations, and a reminder that sometimes the most historically significant moments are the ones that happen when no one is watching, when families come together in love and shared passion to create something beautiful and lasting. For Lisa Marie, that February evening remained one of her most cherished memories throughout her life, the moment when she discovered not just her own voice, but the profound joy of sharing music with someone she loved. And for Elvis, it was confirmation that his greatest legacy would not be his fame or his records, but the love and talent he passed on to his daughter and the memory of an evening when two voices became one in perfect harmony. This incredible story of musical legacy and father-daughter bonding reminds us that the most precious moments often happen in private, when families share their deepest passions. If you were moved by Elvis and Lisa Marie's historic first duet and the love that created it, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Share this story with someone who needs to hear about the importance of supporting and nurturing the talents of those we love. What musical memories do you cherish with your family? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss our inspiring content.